Stalen cuore damne soil
Take back your choices from conditions. Conditions cannot control you unless you collaborate. Conditions are choices. Collaborate with choices that create freedom and observe choices that create bondage. You can only be affected by your environment if you choose to believe it is so. Humans are hardwired to go with the crowd and follow the leader. Your true essence is to see yourself as the crowd and choose to lead yourself. Let thine eye be single, let thine eye be pure. Give your single attention for 15 minutes 2 times per day, and you will begin to see what you believe you now cannot see. The word of God is not spoken from above, it is spoken from within. Trust is the part of you that is me, which is in effect all of you. Let everything unfold with trust. Have I ever let you down? Have I ever left you alone? Have you ever not gotten exactly what you needed, exactly when you needed it? Know that I cannot leave you. You cannot be alone. I am you. Your next experience is mine. You cannot choose apart from God, for you are a part of God. So when you choose, God chooses. Do not become a martyr. Do not aggrandize that which is natural and inherent to all. Your need to impress and be celebrated comes from the belief that there is something you need to do or be to be accepted, loved, and celebrated. Do not look for external validation. Accept, love, and celebrate yourself in every moment, and accept, love, and celebrate all others exactly as they are. This is your ultimate freedom within and without. For yours is the kingdom of heaven. A recollection, that is a recollection, that cannot be unseen, is being brought to life. You are the kingdom of heaven made flesh. You are the word spoken. You are the thought manifest. You are the energy in motion. You are the emotion. You are the spirit actualized. You are the morning dew. You are breath in you. You are the spring dawn and the darkness too. You are the first thought and the last laugh. You are all of it. Just choose to be, not have. I speak to you every day in every way, but none more potent than in child's play. So go now and make of your life a beautiful game, and allow yourself your heavenly name. Speak it loud and speak it true, for you are heaven, and I am you. Hello, namaste, greetings, welcome everyone, welcome. We are back. Today I am very excited to share with you a wonderful guest today, and we are going to be talking about the age of transparency. We're going to be talking to starseeds and all of you who are moving through the shifts that we're all being called to move through now. And this this call and this interview is being inspired by really bringing together so many different aspects and ideas of what it is that we are all moving through, because everyone has a unique role and everyone is playing their part, and not everyone is going to be doing the same thing, because we need to have different ways and different aspects and different ways of looking at what we're currently experiencing in this global awakening and this shifting through what we're currently experiencing. So today I am very happy, excited, and honored that I will be joined by my sister, strong dear Honovi. We met in person back in 2016 in Prague, and I'm very excited to share share space with her, and she she's a busy being. She is now located in Peru. She is ET Contact ambassador. She is medicine woman working with sacred plant medicines. She's a speaker, and she is also, I would say, quite fearless, and one of the New Earth leaders that is really speaking her truth and speaking boldly about subjects and maybe topics that other people may avoid. And so it's a great honor that she's going to join us today. And what I'd ask you to do, we are live on Facebook. We're live on blockchain on DLive. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Twitter and Twitch. Just ask you to please like, share this to your group, share it to the Starseed groups, share it to your Lightworker groups, share it around. We're going to be talking about the age of transparency, and Strong Deer is going to be talking about how to navigate these times of disclosure, suppression, and all of the things that is going on, and how we can come together and how we can rise together. So without further ado, I shall bring her along. Hello, welcome, Strong Deer.
Peace in the house, dear heart.
So good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been nearly 5 years in the making since we met. I always had the idea of coming together, and now is the right time. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, and it was so nice how we met, because it was actually another channel that we both went to see, also known as Bashar, and I believe that's where we met. But of
Yes.
course, I think we're probably connected beyond that too, as many of us are, right?
I know for sure. I know our Syrian connection is very, very strong. And my Syrian connections were of great help to me this week at one point when I was really, really needing it, and they just came at the right time. So I know that's definitely one of our connections. Yeah, but we met in 2016 at the Bashar event in Europe, and there was an amazing group of us all came together. I'm still in contact with a few people as well. Do you know, we did breath work at that time as well, and there's actually one couple that got married out of that group that we came together. Do you know that? That was a little surprise. So what?
I don't, but I'm not surprised, because this is also something for the listeners to consider. Going, making the effort to create or go to such events, it's like such potent kind of synchronistic life force energy. And so, I went to another kind of similar event in which I met my soulmate. It was an extraterrestrial conference in California, which I then became a speaker at 2 years later. You understand? So, it's really important for the starseeds listening to be. I know it's more difficult in this time, right? Because of all the conditions and the lockdowns and everything. But that's why we're also being called on to get really creative too, right? And so it's funny, because my guides are actually coming through, and they just wanted to say. They just wanted to share something with yourself and your audience, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Hush. We are with you always. We are. Eyana you. Eyana you. Eioa. Eyana you. Eioa yo. Yukua sue iyano. We are your brother and sister. Ah. Welcome to the age of disclosure and transparency. Just letting some of those activations and that connection with the guides that just came through, soaking that up, letting it inspire and uplift. So that was nice little unexpected occurrence.
Ooh, I felt that very, very strongly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. And it just reminds me, and I think you may be the only one that I've ever witnessed with the event that we met at, that you shared light language with Bashar, and that was one of my great memories of that event. It was beautiful, and I feel that that's such an important key to what's happening now as well. This bridge. I know you talk about the bridging between realities, and I believe that light language and sound specifically is going to be very important as we bridge between these realities and move from linear human language to um, you know more full telepathic communication. I believe this light language is a bridge between those. So beautiful.
I can share with you. I can share some with you right now.
Please.
Yukua, yue ya, yoana yo. Ima, 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 ima ya. Yoe, yoe, yoe. You are. Yoe, yoe, asu, eyoa. Yo, ana, yo, ia.
Wow, that's how we're supposed to do introductions. I love it.
That's funny.
It's so good. Our star family making an appearance and making an introduction is so beautiful. So, um, what I would like to just briefly begin for those who don't know you, who's not aware, if you could just share a little bit about you and your journey, and then we can get into the age of transparency, or I'm sure it will lead us there anyway. But for those who don't know, if you could tell us a little bit about you and your journey, please.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, brother, for having me and my guides ARIA on your platform. So a little bit about myself. I would describe myself as a reality dismantler. Okay. It actually says that on my profile on Facebook. What that means is I dismantle reality, I break things down for people so that they can, in a sense, have a bridge that they can walk across from where they were in terms of this 3D paradigm uh, and where they are or where they are heading to, which is this 5D paradigm as people know it. And so I do that by sharing information, planting seeds in consciousness. I bring in higher information through my guides, and my guides are called Aria. They actually come through as as through sound and music and tonalities, because in this new era we're being encouraged to use different kinds of intelligences that are returning to the planet. So, what that means is body intelligence, heart wisdom, energetic intelligence, intuitive intelligence. Now, we're not negating the other intelligence, mind centric, but again, that belongs to a different paradigm, and we can feel that we're in this very transitional place now, like really in the middle and going towards, let's say, a peak experience as a collective. Some are calling it the solar flash and all these different names, right? So in a way, I use my gifts, my creativity, music. I actually play the bansuri flute, and I do it in my sessions with people, and I drum. And so I bring through these frequencies that can help understand that the reality as we know it has fundamentally shifted. It's not going back to what it was before, but not to go into that panic or fear mode, which can happen, which is being perpetuated right across the board. Actually tune into these truths, these universal principles, right? Unconditional love, forgiveness, unity, consciousness, you know, having a compassionate heart, um, being authentic, um, being in service to your brother and sister, so on and so forth, right? And so what happens sometimes is when we go down these rabbit holes that are deep and sometimes dark, right? And very confronting, we can get lost down there. And that's what's happening for a lot of people. Maybe some of you watching right now. It happened to me, you know. I was getting very distracted by one rabbit hole after another. And then I realized, although it's important to get present to the rabbit holes and go diving in them and looking around, it's actually really, really important in this time to be focusing on your vision. What do you want to create? What do you want to be you know, what matters to you? You know, because we lose sight of that amidst this, what me and my guides call global pandemic.
Yeah. I totally resonate, and I feel you, because I know definitely at the beginning of last year I got very much sucked into so many rabbit holes, and I love what you shared there. It's like now it's important. It is important that, like, in the age of transparency, as we're talking about, to be aware, because that which has been unseen is becoming seen. There is no hiding place anymore. But like you said, if you get stuck there, if you stay there, you can't be part of the solution of the new. That is what has been hidden as part of the old, as part of that old framework. But if we stay there, we can't be part of what we came here to do. It wasn't just to see that, it was to transcend it and be part of the solution and bring, our gifts to that. So I love what you share. And something that I really loved about you and your journey, is the real raw authenticity that you have shown, because you share your challenges, you share your breakthroughs, you share whenever you feel like maybe you've taken steps and you need to take yourself back or something like that, and you share that really openly, and that is so important, I feel. And that, for me, is what a new earth leader is about. It's not perfection. It's not like I've got all the answers. It's like, I'm going to share my journey. I'm going to fall down. I'm going to get it back up, but I'm always going to be authentically real. And I really see that in you. And I love that.
Oh, thank you, dear heart. I was going to say we're actually entering also into the age of vulnerability and authenticity,
Mm,
you know, and those attributes actually naturally arise from the age of transparency, right?
mm,
And what that means is that we can't hide from each other
yeah.
anymore. You know, we're going to be able to feel each other much more on a frequency level. I'm sure all of you out there are actually having experiences like this. Maybe some of you are even having visitations from extraterrestrial beings. You're having your skills and abilities go online. You're leaving your body at night and becoming conscious of it. All these activities are simultaneously being activated with all the shadow stuff going on, you know? So
Mm,
it can be a lot for people to handle. And then, you know, what I did want to really touch upon, what's coming through really strong, is to give voice to the current situation globally as it's relating to this so-called virus. You know, people call it corona. And think about it, the whole planet has, in a sense, been shut down over a virus that has a 99.996% recovery rate. You know, that is a statistic that's very real. You know, a lot of us who are these new thought leaders, new earth leaders, we're not just pulling things from thin air, okay? If you do your diligent research into these topics, not getting like swept away by it, which I know I understand is difficult sometimes, but if you're able to contain some kind of balance where you're learning about disclosure and what's really going on, you know, you're also looking at the facts, you know, because a lot of people are saying that there's not evidence to suggest, you know, that there might be more to what's going on globally in terms of the virus being something that was planned and preempted, right? So it's also knowing that a lot of the so-called stats as they relate to this corona spectacle or movie, if you want to call it that, they keep also changing them. So like the World Health Organization and the CDC, which I believe is the Center for Disease, they were saying at one point it was 95% recovery rate, and then they changed it and so on and so forth. And I wanted to share these little, you know, things because the average person is not perhaps realizing that their behavior, it's not being driven by necessarily themselves, okay? Because we're living in an inverted reality where everything is actually back to front, and this is being revealed to people. This is disclosure. It's creating a lot of confusion, okay? A lot of sensitives and channels out there might feel some confusion energies also, because a lot going on, you know, there's a lot of disclosure, and then there's a lot of people's online gifts and abilities. Like I said, people having out of body experiences for the first time. When I had my spiritual awakening, it was my guides, right? These beings that you can feel even as I'm talking, because they're with me here, they're coming through. And also you heard me singing and sharing the light language, and these beings switched on my Kundalini energy, and I had an out of body experience, and it was like having an orgasm. It's the only way I can explain it. It wasn't an orgasm, but it was so ecstatic that it blew my mind, you know. And this is the level of beings that I interface with. And so it's not just me, many other people too around the world. Even Martin is also a conduit and channel. And I was very touched before we went live on the call. There's a small segment that Martin plays, and I was listening to it, and I was so touched by it. And I just wanted to also say thank you for sharing that, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Thank you.
A lot
Thank
of
you.
downloads coming through today.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Oh my God, I'm feeling it so strongly as well. And it was something I wanted to share or to ask you about, just about your personal experience. Very recently, seeing a lot of and I've had the personal experience, Elise, as well. And in dream time, how a lot of people having very like dark, disturbing, challenging dreams, and a lot of stuff coming up in dream time. I was wondering, are you experiencing that, or are you speaking to people that's having those similar experiences as well?
I can only speak from my, I'm not personally encountering that,
Okay.
but I've heard a kind of whole cross spectrum of experiences.
Mhm.
So I'm hearing a real mixture. And that's why I was also saying there's a little bit of confusion too, because it's like different, it almost feels like different people are lining up with different timelines, and they're kind of zipping past each other. Everything's either being magnetized or repelled, you know?
Mm. So, um, your journey to this path, I know it was around 2010 you first began to experience your experience with the star beings. Um, there's, like you said, there's a lot of people now, and because of the events of what's been going on and everything, it is, like you said, it's activating, it's awakening people. Can you share a little bit about how your journey was from that time? Because I suppose that's like 11 years ago now. I'm sure there's been a lot of things happening, and I know that's what you help and assist people and starseeds on their process and their journey. Um, I think it's important in the current climate, if people are experiencing that and not understanding, if they can kind of connect with experiences maybe that you've had. Could you share a little bit about your journey in that?
Yes, of course, dear heart. So, the first one is going back to what I was sharing earlier, where I had this full blown Kundalini experience. And it was such a shock to my psyche, to my physical body, my energetic body. I was just lying in bed in my family's home, which is back in England. And I was in my grandmother's room, and suddenly I felt a wave of energy enter through my crown. So this is the thing with Kundalini too, because I was very reluctant to give the experience the name Kundalini, actually. So there might be other people out there that can relate too, because some of the information that is written about Kundalini, it's very fixed, right? But in the laws of the universe, they're not fixed, actually. They're not fixed laws. The ones that are, let's say, overarching universal laws, they're not fixed, okay? The spiritual is never fixed. So it's kind of like that. And I also wanted to share briefly, going back to the question around some people having darker experiences. Like, understand right now we're going through a mass purging. So of course, you know, what's happening now, it's in equal measure that which is of joyfulness, of service, of compassion, of kindness, of respectfulness, of unity, all that's being drawn out within people, that resonance. And equally, all the insecurities, the aches and pains. A lot of people are actually experiencing a lot of aches and pains, chronic illnesses appearing, all kinds of stuff
Mm.
happening to a lot of people, skeletal stuff going on, uh, feeling like your organs are rearranging themselves almost. And to a certain degree, this is going to be a natural part of what we would call ascension process too, which is about alchemizing the shadow and really, owning it. Like, in the sisterhood circle that I led yesterday and facilitated, full goddesses, so talented and wonderful. Um, we we were in a sense owning the shadow. We were owning what I call is sacred anger. Sacred anger, like, what WTF is going on this planet? And actually letting that anger motivate you, inspire you, not suppressing the anger, not shaming it. I'm not saying go around, hitting people. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, use the anger constructively, healthfully, express it in your art, express it in your words, let it, be your passion to make a difference. Because me and brother are actually talking before we started the call today, and we were saying a lot of people are not always present to the challenges of our brothers and sisters. It's not just, the time we're going into, it's not just about us anymore. That time is over. It's not, it's about, okay, if I'm in an okay place and I'm, taking care of myself, I've got my rituals and I'm following through and I'm doing stuff. Now, how can I really start to see who needs my help here? Because I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that need your support, or they need you to step out and be inspiring and share your natural gifts in this time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you brought it so beautifully to me before the call, because we all like talk about our our individual experience of what is going on, how much it's affecting us or not. And yeah, you really brought that home, that it's so important for those of us, because it's always a wave. I feel I've always been on a wave. There's always a rise and fall, and there's a natural ebb and flow of our individual energy. And sometimes you will be inspired and flowing and out there, and other times you're going to be more introspective and here. And I feel it's really important at this time for anyone and all who who feel this call, who know, is to really look beyond your own individual experience and look to see, yes, what is happening to the vast majority of the human collective. Remember, it's a collective. If one is suffering, there is suffering within all of us. And just because we can separate ourselves apparently and distance ourselves from the shadows, which is something we very much share as well, this integration of the shadow, um, then it can be very easy to forget about the challenges that people are encountering, and we have no idea, because a lot of us, like you said, well, a lot of us are on different timelines, and a lot of us see things completely different to others, um, maybe even in our own family, which can be a challenge for a lot of people. So yeah, it's really important. So I thank you for bringing that to me because it was something I was saying, like our lifestyle didn't change a lot. Um, and that is true, but on the whole, everything has changed, and inside everything has changed because we are, there's nothing that doesn't affect all of us in some way. So
Yes.
yeah.
And I would even say that in this time, what's happening is, in a sense, we're being shown, that which we don't really want to see, actually,
Mhm.
because it's actually very traumatic. Okay. What happens is when we encounter trauma, we go into a denial, we don't want to address it. That's what happens. And it gets pushed, into our subconscious. And the time we're moving into, the frequency, it is actually the time of the subconscious. You might not have heard it being put like that, but it's all that which is unseen, like you were saying in the beginning of the call, that's really surfacing. And so, you know, it is really important for people to just get more aware of, okay, what's going on here? Like, how am I spending my time and my days and my energy? And do I have goals for the week? Do I have projects that I am creative and inspired by? Do I do things that make me feel discomfort? Do I run away from discomfort or do I embrace discomfort? Because the era we're going into, it's about finding comfort in the discomfort, right? It's a totally different way of navigating reality. I'm sure many of you can feel it. It's a very different way. And some people even call it the divine feminine frequency that is returning. And it's almost like, the divine feminine, she's like kicking your butt if you don't uh, get on board, with her frequencies.
Absolutely. My butt has been well and truly kicked multiple times, so I can concur. I can concur. And it just brings me to something that you shared actually before we came on as well, which I think is so important, both for me individually and I know for a lot of kind of spiritually minded starseeds, light workers. And you spoke to it a little bit, and it's that so many of this community have a deep seated shadow around structure, a deep-seated shadow around systems and structures. And this has all come from, the patriarchal, masculine dominated sort of system that had, that had repression built into structure. But like as we talked about, for the world to manifest, for the beauty of the world to manifest, there must be structure because energy doesn't have structure and the world comes into form by
Hmm.
structure. You couldn't look at a tree if there wasn't structure. So people with this shadow, and I have to admit, I have a bit of it, probably a lot of it myself, and it's come through many times, is that there is freedom in structure. Could you speak to that a little bit? Because I feel you've got it worked out a whole lot better than I do.
Yeah, I love this question actually, because a lot of people that I encounter, they're like, structure? They're like, WTF, what are you talking about? I don't do structure, you know? And
I'm a hippie
it's like
starseed.
very, yeah, right? And I used to be like that too. And I've really had to grow into it and really connect the dots and actually look at things logically and scientifically too. Like when we are looking at nature, when we look outside, you know, even the air around us, there are particles, there are atoms, there's so much structure. It's embedded in our DNA. It's everywhere. It's in society, you know, it's in the leaves of a tree. And so you're like, huh, okay. So structure is everywhere. So, you know, why am I getting all kind of bent out of shape about structure? Perhaps I have a certain belief around it. Perhaps I had parents who were super, you know, strict. My mother, God bless her heart, I love her to pieces and she's amazing, but she was really strict with me growing up as a kid. And so I rebelled and I became very, you know, free spirited. I'm like, structure, yeah, like what's that? I don't need that in my life. I'm just going to go with the flow. You know, that's what people say, right? Or I'm just going to, you know, wait for things to synchronize, or when it'll be right, you know, that's when the right, when the universe says, or when I see the sign, you know, all these different excuses, right? And I started to see the limiting belief, firstly recognize that, oh, you know, all the successful people, and what I mean by successful, because everyone has a different um, terminology in terms of what they consider successful, but you know, if you look at people who are achieving things and accomplishing things and going forwards, they also have structures. They not only have a structure, but they they have a sense of their mission here on the planet, and they're continuously kind of feeding from that mission and that vision. So that's what's missing for a lot of people too. It's like I noticed even within personal development and spirituality, sometimes it felt like we were all trying to be like each other instead of just being ourselves, you know? Because I noticed myself doing it because I've had different mentors, and it's a beautiful thing to humble yourself to being mentored. Part of my problem and struggle in the past was I was not humbling myself to receive mentorship from those that had walked before and clearly shown in their embodiment that they were living, you know, a certain lifestyle or way of being, that then I could apprentice under, and so on and so forth. Because it's interesting, because in this time of disclosure, a lot of false idols are falling or are going to fall. People are going to find out very unpleasant things about spiritual teachers, people they looked up to who are well-known authors. This is already happening, and those who are more aware in consciousness will are on various characters, because that's what everyone is, right? Character playing a role. And so it's up to all of us how we want to respond. But like I was saying earlier, let's not negate the shadow, you know, because the more you see, the more, you know, people look at me and they're like, oh, Hanabi's like, she's right. But I don't think they realize, you know, I've made a lot of peace with the dark, and not just in this lifetime, over many lifetimes. I embrace it. I humble myself to it, you know? Like if for instance, you know, if there's a certain flaw in my character, I'll admit to it and I'll look at it, and I'll want to you know, improve upon that. Instead of, if someone gives me feedback which is repeated, instead of the knee-jerk reaction, which is, you know, oh, well, that's your projection, right?
Yeah.
We say that a lot in
Oh.
the spiritual community and personal development. We're like, that, well, that's your problem, that's that's your projection, right? And it's like, hang on a minute, you know, especially if it's continuous. Okay, if it's a one-off reflection, perhaps not, and it also depends on how you're reacting to what they're saying, right? And this is really potent, I think, because it's coming up as a download that I'm sharing with all of you, because triggers are coming up so freaking crazy for a lot of people. The slightest thing is making people lose their beep, you know?
Yeah, I completely, yeah, I completely agree, and it's something I've been sharing for a long time, and through tears and through like realizations and really facing and seeing myself, I feel that there's very rarely an occasion, like you just said, that you need to talk about the projections of others, because if if there is if there's nothing in me, if it's nothing to hit inside of me, I won't need to talk about it. If I need to talk about it, it's hit something in me. So then that's gold. That's something I can use. That's something I can see. But like you said, a lot of times it's like
Whoops.
it's shared like, oh no, that's a projection of others. You know, if anything that's kind of focused on other for me is in a way disappearing. If it's not within me, that's I can't do anything about it. Like you just share, if I can see something within me through a trigger of another or the word, then there's something that I can focus on and look at. But if it's something outside of me that I can't do anything about, I'm disempowered in that way. So I love that. It's
Yeah, and I do feel I do want to create a welcomingness. I don't know if that's a word. I
it
just
is it is
invented it.
now.
Uh, yeah, it is now, right? A certain welcomingness. All of me is welcome here. All my triggers are welcome. You know, like how nice is that? If you just say to yourself, all my triggers are welcome here. All of me that gets bent out of shape, all of me that gets frustrated, all of me that gets angry, just like breathing into that, like sinking into that, because just doing that one thing, because the part of the problem in the spiritual personal development realm, if you want to call it that, is there's not really this welcomingness. There's this rush to transcend. Okay, so what's happening a lot, it's creating problems for a lot of people. Slow down. You're not in a rush. You know, it's not like you're just going to fly off to the sixth dimension or the fifth dimension tomorrow. There's time too to really sink into things and take your time and, get very present to what's motivating your behaviors, because a lot of people's patterns are coming up too. Super strong, like habits that might not be healthy for them on a deep level. And so it's also bringing more like softening into that, like, oh, that part of me needs something, like that part of me is crying out. It needs, like, you know me to just sit with it or talk to a friend about it. Or yeah, that's a really good thing, because in this time, because of world events and this pandemic or lockdown that's going on, it's forcing, right, it's a catalyst forcing people to come together, whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
And we have to look at things like that too, instead of buying into the fear narratives. And I did want to also quickly say that no one has ever actually isolated a specimen of the so called virus. So, therefore, no one has actual proof that it exists. Okay. This is a very controversial statement, and I'm very aware of that. But hey ho, that's what I'm here to bring. I'm a new earth leader and someone who is here to shake up the old paradigm. And I'm not sharing anything that can't be verified. If you use the search engine DuckDuckGo, don't use Google, by the way, because a lot of these, you know, platforms, if you want to call them that, have become compromised. And all of this is being revealed to people. Now, again, some people will be like, oh, well, that's a conspiracy. But it's understanding that we're going through information warfare right now, psychological warfare. And I would actually go as far as saying this whole corona situation is one big, massive psyop. And it's creating, a lot of interesting experiences in consciousness. It's actually a very creative time, you know, really start to see that the opportunity, new thought leader, to be someone who is, you know, bringing that sauce, bringing that pizzazz, bringing that shaking of things up in a playful way. We get really serious about it, but we can also bring playfulness, which I bring too, you know. So yeah, that's my invitation to everyone in these times, because you know, these points that I made, a lot of this is verifiable, right? So for instance, there was a certain scientific test done where they sampled 1,500 people who had tested positive for the supposed virus, right? They got the PCR test, I believe. And when they got tested, and they got tested by scientists, you know, legit people, they found no trace of COVID in any sample. What they found was mostly influenza A and influenza B, known as the common cold. And of course, you might have noticed, where did the cold go? It disappeared. You know, and so this also feeds into the numbers being inflated. And there was even a piece, a commentary that I shared in my Telegram group. We can share that with you towards the end, where they were talking about how they've actually got proof now that the numbers of people who are being diagnosed as dying from COVID have been inflated. So people who died from diabetes and cancer, or maybe they had the virus and they recovered, or the so-called virus, we'll call it for now. They had it and then they recovered, and then later on they died from something else. They're still being misdiagnosed as a COVID death. I wanted to really address this because these are all, you know, questions that are very practical and that I understand. And so I'm not just someone who's, you know, floating off in research, as you can tell. And all of you guys can do research too. You know, I'm someone who's connected to the stars, but my roots are here deep in the earth, right? Roots deep in the earth, whilst one's branches reach out into the stars, right? And so what that means is, yeah, I receive insights, you know, but sometimes I even question things that certain beings share, and I do my own research too. You understand? So it's using the different breadths of tools that we have available to us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like we shared earlier, and this is what my kind of perspective on what's going on. There's so many different levels of consciousness in which you can look at this current circumstance. And the level of consciousness or the perspective from which you look at it will dictate how you experience it and what you see. And what I feel is what you shared earlier, and what I completely agree as well, is that whatever is happening from whatever level of consciousness, it is a mass global opportunity, mass global awakening. And that's going to cause, so there's going to be lots of confusion, there's got to lots of misinformation, and there's actual truths that are true on one level of consciousness that seem contradictory or false on another level of consciousness. And what is important for each person to navigate, I feel, this is to really look, like you said, is to come from where are you getting your information from first, and are you confirming that within yourself, intuitive knowing, you know, that like you're using inner and outer methods to confirm your knowing and the direction of what is coming. And then we can come to what is presented to us from a different level of consciousness, because if it's come from the level of so many of the things that are affecting a huge majority of the people, you know, I don't know, was it Einstein said, like the level of the problem cannot, the consciousness, let's say, of what the issue is that's affecting most people, the
A
solution or
problem, a problem can never be solved from the level of consciousness that created the problem. I love
thank
that.
you.
In fact, that is so amazing that you said that, because I actually had a dream where a guide said that to me, because at the time I was going through this situation where I had heartache over a relationship that I was in.
Mm.
And the guide in the dream said, to quote Einstein, a problem cannot be solved from the level of consciousness that created it, right? Which is just amazing. That to yourself every day and start thinking, well, okay, how do I start approaching this challenge I have in front of me? Because we all have them, right? In different ways, in a completely different way what I've ever done. I know a lot of this personal development stuff is really super simple, actually. What's missing for a lot of people is the embodiment. And the age we're going into is also the age of embodiment, right? Feel it in your frequency too, more and more and more. You know, that's why I've created certain structures. I go to the gym 3-4 times a week. I go dancing twice a week. You know, I meet with friends. I started doing these sisterhood circles. Now, this doesn't happen in one go. I started to slowly introduce what was most important, getting very practical, right? As we said earlier, roots deep in the earth of the soil, whilst our branches reach out into the stars, right? That's what a bridge between worlds really is. And I also wanted to thank you so much for your thoughts, brother, that you shared just a moment ago, because I thought they were so on point and so key when you were saying that it really is a time where you get to manifest and create, and like brother was saying, create reality on your terms. Like, how are you interpreting what's going on in the world, right? And really use that as a catalyst. You know, the life that I'm creating is like, I don't know, I'm blown away, you know. And I know there's still work to be done and playing to be done and all this kind of stuff too. But that's when you know, when your reflections start to show you consistently, right? It's the reflections that are the master teachers, and they invite us into humility consciousness too, which can be missing also for a lot of starseeds.
I love it. Thank you for recovering that. I was struggling with the quote. The quote was there, but thank you for recovering that, and it's beautiful. And yeah, just furthering that, what you shared there, you know, everything that you were sharing about is that, and to this quote is that if you don't know that there's a problem, you can't transcend the problem. What is happening with most people, that's hiding, like we talked about. So that doesn't mean, you know, that you don't come from the point of consciousness that is transcendent of the problem, but you must first know that there is a problem. And when most people's head are in the sand and they're ignoring, or they're following blindly what is given to them by anyone or anything, if it's just taken as fact, then you wouldn't even be aware that there's a problem. Let's say one problem and another problem. You know, there's two different ways of looking at the problem now. Well, there's many different ways, but there's two main ways. And if you don't even know that there is another potential reality than what is being portrayed, let's say, for the masses, then you can't transcend that, because you're completely, so that's why it's important to be completely, like, your roots in the ground is to be not avoiding those uncomfortable experiences, but really embrace them, and then you can transcend. But if you don't even know that that's a possibility, and like, I know this is part of your role, and it's been part of my role in another way, that some of the, like, what is going on now is the tip of the iceberg of the darkness of humanity, of the darkness that has been hidden. Like, what is happening now is literally the very, very beginning. And I know that you are very much a part of that. I mean, aware of that. So it's important, so important for each and every one to really, I love what you shared, to be comfortable with your uncomfortableness. That that's a
To
that's a
find
banner.
comfort
Yes.
in your discomfort, to find
Yes.
comfort in your discomfort. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's so amazing that you touched upon that point, it just being the tip of the iceberg,
Yeah.
because you know, it's all a training. Start seeing this time as a training to really get resilient and strong and stable in yourself. I know you're all capable of doing it because only the best were sent, the starseeds, right? So, and a lot of you guys have done this before. We incarnate in teams, so you're not alone, right? Make yourself more visible, and your teammates will start to recognize you. They'll start to support you. You'll start be given opportunities, okay? Sometimes people project onto me as a public figure and they're like, oh, well, Hanavi must have people laughing at her, or, you know, she must get a lot of like backlash. You know what? I don't. It's not part of my frequency. Yeah, of course, I get the occasional person who might get their knickers in a twist about what I share. But of course, that's to be expected because I am someone who is a game changer or an innovator, a pioneer, uh, a new earth leader, like many of you watching too. Don't be ashamed to own that from the heart, not from this, oh, well, look at me, you know. Who cares about that? But actually, embodying that, being in service to causes and people that are in less fortunate circumstances than yourself. You know, I've been lending my platform to the indigenous people of the Amazon who've been, you know, going under their own huge challenges. Now they have these massive floods, and I'm going to help create a crowd fundraiser to help support them. You know, because someone was talking about something to do with the cabal and Q and all this kind. And I said, you know what? I really don't care because I have other things to put my attention on. You know, people need my help and support, and they need me to be showing up and taking good care of myself, right? That's the time that we're moving into, knowing that you don't have to do this alone and that you're more than prepared across several lifetimes and we're in it together. And just to finish off, because I actually have to hop off because I'm going to Kirtan soon.
Oh, nice, nice. Wow, we're nearly at an hour already. I can't believe. Yes, go,
Yeah,
go,
we
go.
are. So I just wanted to say lastly too, because my guides wanted me to share that it's remembering that, dear hearts, we actually live in an inverted reality, as me and my guides were sharing earlier on the call today. And what that means is up is down, left is right, nothing is quite as it appears. Okay. And so some people's identities, whole worlds are crashing right now or are going to. People they admired in Hollywood, you know, sports celebrities and this and that, people of influence, people who are beautiful, you know, all this is going to be crumbling. I mean, it already is. A lot of disclosures already happened for certain people who have been receptive and open to it. And then there's going to be like, as brother was saying, more layers. This is really just the tip. And so if you can start to really get yourself, you know, into that greater soul integrity, really connecting with a juicy vision, really connecting with other brothers and sisters in any way that you can, because I know according to which part of the world you're watching from, you might have different conditions that are limiting you. But don't let the conditions suffocate you. Reach out for support, create online support, you know, reach out for mentorship, as we were saying earlier on the call. And just know that even though there's going to be challenges to come, know that all of us were spread out all throughout the planet, creating this 5G grid together. And we can all tune into each other too. In the meditation in the morning, whenever you meditate, start tuning into my field, into Martin's, into this field that we've created on the call today, this morphic resonance field, you know, because you can really tap into that and feel supported from it. And lastly, I would say unify the earth with the stars as a bridge between worlds. Thank you, dear hearts.
Thank you so much. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So, just before you go, I want to let people know how they can get in contact with you because you help empower starseeds and work with people on one-on-one sessions. And yeah, as you're doing in-person things down in the Sacred Valley in Peru as well, which we will get back to. But we didn't get to visit you last time, but we will as soon as that's possible again. So, where's the best place? We're going to put all the links in the comments, but where's the best place to connect with you for those who feel the call?
Well, you know what? I'm actually starting to transition some of my content over to Telegram,
Hmm.
which is it's a better platform because it's not owned by big tech, social media. It's from my understanding, it hasn't become compromised, and it's allowing a lot of people in the disclosure movement to really come together and share information. So I have a channel on there called I think it's called what is it called? Star Soul Pioneers. Yeah, Star Soul Pioneers
Hmm.
of the Great Awakening. Star Soul Pioneers of the Great Awakening. Or you can also search for Strong Deer 17. And some of you will know what 17 represents. Some of you will not, but I'm going to just leave it at that. It actually represents a certain disclosure movement that I do support, but I also feel people need to be mindful not to get lost in those rabbit holes, as we were talking about. Also, you can contact me on Facebook if you just search my name, Strong Deer, all one word, or Honovi, Honovi. I was actually deleted and deplatformed from Instagram and Twitter because of the content that I share, which is not even that controversial. I don't think there's much more controversial, but I try and meet people, in their processes too, engage where my audience is, and yeah, that's the era that we're navigating to kind of round up that a lot of us are being censored. And so we've had to transition to platforms like Telegram, and I think, is it MeWe? And there's all these
Yeah,
other different ones too. Yeah.
yeah,
And I also do something called Soul Blueprint readings, where me and my guides actually connect and interface with your blueprint, and we convey information that's very, very relevant to what you're here to do as a game changer, as a new earth leader, as a pioneer of this amazing time that we're in. So if you're interested in that, you can also contact me at those at Telegram or Facebook. Facebook hasn't censored me so far, but I think it's also because I started to shift a little bit of my languaging
hmm,
into more focusing on more what I'm creating.
beautiful. Well, we'll put all the links in. If you're watching on replay, the links will be in all of the show notes on all of the platforms that we're on. So I just want to say thank you so much, my dear sister. It's been beautiful to reconnect with you again, and just love what you're doing, and I love how you deliver it, and I love that you really are. I feel you're living it and embodying it. It's not just the language, and I think it's beautiful to see, and I'm really glad that we got to bring this together today, because I feel that we're bringing sometimes opposing, not necessarily opposing, but different views on the same thing. I think we're bringing them together, having these conversations. So I'm really, really happy with that, and hope you enjoy your kirtan. We've been doing lots of kirtans recently, just the three of us. But yeah, I love kirtan. Thank you, sister.
I love kirtan, and just in case if you don't know what kirtan is, it is where we all sing together, devotional singing of mantras in Sanskrit. And I started taking my Bansuri flute to the kirtan to go more into my discomfort and push myself a little bit because I was hiding. And now I've really improved a lot, and it's such an honor. So thank you so much, brother, for the call today. I'm going to go ready to go to kirtan and you know share the love vibrations.
Enjoy, and love to Roberto and everyone else in the Sacred Valley, and the dear mother, great mother there as well. And yeah, look forward to catching up soon. Lots of love.
Yeah, thank you. Ciao,
Ciao.
everyone. Thank you for
Bye.
listening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you to beautiful Strong Deer, aka Honovi. That was beautiful, powerful, and so good to reconnect and share these things. There may have been some things there that may have challenged or triggered something within you. There may be some things that have inspired. And I feel what is important is always to Use what life is bringing. Life is the greatest spiritual teacher you can ever get. Life is your guru. Living it is the modality. So instead of resisting what comes, in the same way as not accepting without any question whatsoever what comes, it's to be like Strong Deer said, is like be comfortable with your uncomfortableness. Finding comfort in discomfort. If you're getting triggered, instead of, I always talk about this, when you get triggered, the person you're pointing or the thing you're pointing at, that's where the trigger is. Where the gift is right back here, these three fingers, and the gift is coming from up above. Instead of trying to make that person wrong, instead of debating them on Facebook or social media, look to the part of you that this has brought up and ask, does something someone says have an effect on me? And what we will find is it only will, or something someone does. I mean, except in the extreme examples of like physical violence. I'm not talking in that case. I'm talking about something someone says, something that is brought into your field in some way, physical violence, or in any case, of course, that's not what we're talking about, but in most cases, that's not what's happening. The vast majority of cases is like, if someone shares something that pushes my buttons, something that challenges my belief systems, something that they say, I actually believe the complete opposite. Instead of trying to rush in to defend that, look to the part of yourself that wants to defend. And this comes with shadow integration work. This comes with coming back to this seat of self, coming back to being the witness of your experience. Truth does not need defended. Truth simply is. So if we are experiencing the world and we have experiences coming to us and they push certain buttons or they rise certain belief systems up in us, that's a gift. That's a part of ourself that we get to see because of that. But whenever we put it outwards, when we put the trigger, we put the bullet and we try and shoot the messenger, we lose the gift. This has been my journey for the past 5-6 years. And it's not the easiest journey. There's a whole lot easier journeys, but I can tell you it's the direct path. The direct path is becoming the awareness that is aware of all experience and not getting pulled or pushed by experience. Then you can be fully engaged, fully here as the beautiful being of light that you are. And that's what I feel we are leading into in the age of transparency. So I'll put the links for Strong Deer's Facebook and her Telegram and her website and a few other links. And if you're interested, go to connect with her. I'm on day 8 of the Medical Medium 369 liver detox, and I'm amazed I got through this without going to the toilet. But yeah, tomorrow's day 9, liquid only. So looking forward, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling like really aligned, and so much transmutation of energies has occurred. So tomorrow we will do the final day together. So it was amazing to have this call in the middle of it, because normally I would be kind of not doing that sort of thing. So it was meant to be. Have a beautiful moment whenever you're watching this. If you haven't shared this feed, please share it on whatever platform you're watching. I love you all so much. Until next time, from my heart to yours, the divine in me sees, honors, and loves the divine in you. Namaste. We are. Take back your choices from conditions. Conditions cannot control you unless you collaborate. Conditions are choices. Collaborate with choices that create freedom, and observe choices that create bondage. You can only be affected by your environment if you choose to believe it is so. Humans are hardwired to go with the crowd and follow the leader. Your true essence is to see yourself as the crowd and choose to lead yourself. Let thine eye be single, let thine eye be pure. Give your single attention for 15 minutes 2 times per day, and you will begin to see what you believe you now cannot see. The word of God is not spoken from above, it is spoken from within. Trust is the part of you that is me, which is in effect all of you. Let everything unfold with trust. Have I ever let you down? Have I ever left you alone? Have you ever not gotten exactly what you needed, exactly when you needed it? Know that I cannot leave you. You cannot be alone. I am you. Your next experience is mine. You cannot choose apart from God, for you are a part of God. So when you choose, God chooses. Do not become a martyr. Do not aggrandize that which is natural and inherent to all. Your need to impress and be celebrated comes from the belief that there is something you need to do or be to be accepted, loved, and celebrated. Do not look for external validation. Accept, love, and celebrate yourself in every moment, and accept, love, and celebrate all others exactly as they are. This is your ultimate freedom within and without. For yours is the kingdom of heaven. A recollection, that is, a recollection that cannot be unseen, is being brought to life. You are the kingdom of heaven made flesh. You are the word spoken. You are the thought manifest. You are the energy in motion. You are the emotion. You are the spirit actualized. You are the morning dew. You are breath in you. You are the spring dawn and the darkness too. You are the first thought and the last laugh. You are all of it. Just choose to be, not have. I speak to you every day in every way, but none more potent than in child's play. So go now and make of your life a beautiful game, and allow yourself your heavenly name. Speak it loud and speak it true, for you are heaven, and I am you.